This week, coming up from the ashes.
But that was probably our best Christmas ever because it proved to her that we weren't all about the objects. We're not, it's not about that for us. It was about other things. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to From the Ashes. I am Phoenix, and I am here together with the other members of Voltron, and once we get together, we're going to make Voltron. What's up, guys?
I
forgot my key.
You forgot your key? What the heck?
Hey, look, you didn't tell me we were doing this today.
I said specifically
about Voltron.
We're forming Voltron. Jeez, you never listen.
You didn't send it to me, all right? What can I tell you?
Okay. Well, maybe it was all of the gifts in the channel that lost it, right?
Yeah. My dog ate mine.
Your dog ate your Voltron key?
Or your dog ate Voltron?
Pick one.
Combaticons combine into Bruticus.
Okay. We have gotten off topic and we're not even at the topic yet, but I am here with, the core of 3 that have been with me for, yes, Grim is now considered core.
Yippee.
Even though he screams like a girl.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, anybody that wants to know, listen to the previous episode. But anyways, today we're here with a very special guest, and that special guest is Jan. And well, it depends on how you pronounce his name. You could call him Yanahan or Jan, but I've always called him Jan, always. Not because he's a bore, but because he's freaking awesome. Jan, how you doing, bud?
Thank you.
Huh?
I think all I could make out was thank you.
That's
yeah.
What I heard.
Do you wanna say that again, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Got a little stage fright.
It's okay. Hey, he's English. It happens to the best of them. You know what I mean? Well, he's sort of English, but mostly English. So anyways, usually we throw in an awkward silence right in there, but you know what? Hey, it's around Christmas time, so let's just go with it. Speaking of Christmas, guys, this is the final podcast that we're going to make before Christmas. Christmas is 2 days away, guys. Man, Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you guys have had such joyous times so far this season, and I hope it continues. And we decided to do an episode surrounding Jan, and it's as you can tell, it's called How the Jan Stole Christmas and Our Hearts. Well, mainly mine. He stole my hearts. My hearts. My hearts.
You have more than one?
I do. I keep them in the freezer.
Oh.
I thought we were supposed to have a mandatory of at least 3.
Well, what are we, an alien from Star Trek? Jeez.
No, it's the arachnids from Starship Troopers.
Ah, yes. So this episode is going to be somewhat similar to the last couple episodes we've done. We're just going to sit around, talk about stories of our Christmases past, some awesome stories, some, maybe some that'll make you tear up inside, and then some will maybe make you want to vomit. We're going to talk about traditions, maybe traditions that we do, with our families, or some English customs and traditions and type of food that they eat over across the pond. So that being said, I want to break it out right now. And by the way, we are on location, so it may sound a little bit wonky, talking with Jan every once in a while, but that's okay. Just wanted to let you guys know, Jan, you don't have to adjust your dial. He's got an English accent. Okay. And it's beautiful. So that being said, Jan, I want you to open up the floor and maybe tell us a little bit about yourself, and well, Christmassy wise. I mean, I know a lot about you. You know, he's a huge Ghostbusters fan. But I'll let him get into that. Go ahead, Jan. Give us a story.
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. In terms of stories for me, you're going to be looking at when I was about 3 years old. My mum managed to completely deck me out in just Ghostbusters t-shirts for everything.
Oh wow.
So it was all like, the real Ghostbusters, and because for Christmases prior, because I was just a couple of years too young for the first film.
Yeah.
All of the Ghostbusters figures and everything had already been out. And my brother had sort of had a couple. But fortunately, everything was still available. My mum, bless her, she got literally every single figure that was obtainable.
Wow.
Including the big firehouse thing. I mean, I don't know if you remember that. It was massive. It was absolutely enormous. I mean, especially small child.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically the only thing I had eyes for to play with. And I think it was a year or so later, I even ended up with the Kenner Proton Pack thing, the big blue things, which I still have in a drawer somewhere.
That's awesome. But that doesn't surprise me because look, Jan has a very big collection of Ghostbusters. I've seen some of this stuff. Like, dude has full on suit. Like, he went to the premiere of the last movie. What was it, in London that you went to? And he literally dressed up in his suit, his Ghostbuster suit, and it was just freaking like awesome, like so cool. He sent me pictures. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
He's got a whole room dedicated to Ghostbusters stuff.
Oh,
Even one of the door leading into the room is actually one of the doors taken from the lighthouse on set from one of the movies in the lighthouse. Firehouse.
You stuck on Phasmophobia?
Yeah.
Okay.
A bit of PTSD.
That's all good. That's all good. Yeah, I was gonna correct you, but then when you said it again, you corrected yourself. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like Jan has the firehouse. That's where he lives, is in the firehouse.
He actually owns it.
He owns it. He bought it and moved it over to the UK, and brick by brick, and they reassembled it, and boom, that's where he is today. He's in the firehouse.
Every single one, the most accurate recreation possible.
Look, to be fair, when we did our Ghostbusters episode, I wanted Jan a part of this, but it just didn't work out, unfortunately. But
it was also still early in our career.
Yeah, it was. It was. And so, all right, well, Jan, thank you so much for sharing that. Now I want to shift things over to Zhombi, and I want Zhombi to tell us a little something about Christmases with the Bones Baron clan, and maybe a story or two, or just right now we'll start with a story. Maybe one that's like something that you got, or stuff like that, because you weren't part of the episode last week. So share with us some stories, maybe some traditions that you do throughout the holidays with your family. Tell us.
Well, let's see. I'm trying to think, and it's all been fairly standard as far as I can tell. I know, and I don't know if I mentioned this before. I know that I think I did. That for a while me and my family tried to go downtown to walk the canal and see the Christmas lights.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I mentioned that the last episode I was a part of.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we never really had anything where, like, some people will open like a gift, on at midnight or on Christmas Eve or something like that. We never did anything like that.
Huh. Imagine that. No one opened Christmas presents on midnight, at midnight. That's interesting. Keep going.
It was, we would go to sleep and.
Huh?
What
worry
was
about
that?
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
That has no bearing on what's happening right now. Keep talking. Forget about what
Okay.
you just heard and keep talking. Grim,
Wow, talk about
not
that.
Sounds
helping.
like a
you're
sounds
not
like a
helping.
ghost.
You're not helping. Keep
Stop.
talking.
Totally lost my train of thought. Thanks for that, by the way.
Nothing happened. Keep talking.
We'd wake up in the morning and open gifts.
Mm,
My extended family would usually come over later that day. A few aunts and uncles and stuff like that, cousins, and
mhm.
then we'd open more as because in the morning was like just our family, and then in the afternoon it would be like a little more extended. It would pretty much kind of be like an all day thing,
Yeah.
you know, with people coming up, and we'd open some, and then later that evening we'd be playing board games and hang out because a lot of times you had people in that you don't normally see a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like we just make kind of like a whole day of it. Um, but as far as like traditions, the only thing that we kind of do now is something that I kind of took from a job that I had, and that's we just kind of call it the candy ball,
Okay.
and it's a game.
Mhm.
So one person makes it, or a group makes it, a family makes it, whatever, and basically you get a bunch of candy and saran wrap,
Hmm.
and you start in the middle with like the grand prize, like usually it's like a $25 gift card to something. It's nothing like impressive, but it's like, hey, wow, I got it.
Yeah.
And then you just start wrapping it, and you just keep throwing candy in as you're wrapping it. And if you really want to be malicious, you break the saran wrap and start with a new direction, and you're making it tight.
Uh-huh.
And when you're done, you have this big ball of layers of saran wrap with candy all intermixed within it.
Hmm.
Now, where the game comes in is the goal is to unwrap it, and whatever you unwrap is yours to keep. Now, you have to wear oven mitts to do it.
What?
But so then while you're trying to unwrap it with oven mitts, the person next to you has two dice and they have to roll doubles. If they get doubles, it's their turn. You have to set it down, take off the oven mitts, and pass it on to the next person.
Mm.
And then as soon as like Phoenix, if you're rolling and I have the ball and I'm unwrapping it and you roll doubles, I pass it to you. The next person then starts rolling. If they get doubles before you even start, you have to pass it.
Oh wow, that stinks.
So, I mean, we've kind of done that year after year for a while, and it's just kind of been whoever wins the grand prize has to make the one for next year.
Yeah. Hmm.
So,
Well, that's pretty cool. That is an interesting thing to do. Like my luck, I'd get no candy at all. I'd get nothing because every time I'd get it, somebody'd roll doubles. You should make it more interesting. Get a D20 and they have to roll a nat 20 to be able to like move on. You know.
yeah.
I know you have
I
a
mean,
D20
like,
or 20.
I mean, you could say 2 20s, but then that would be,
Yeah. Oh gosh. You know how hard that'd be?
but yeah, that would be next to impossible.
Yeah, it would. Roll two nat 20s back to back, like right at the same time. Boom. Well, that's pretty cool, man. I like that. We did a lot of stuff around my family, like my mom's side of the family, but I'll get into that. But what about you? Let's you know what? Let's go to Arson. Arson, what about you?
What?
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 Yeah. What?
What about you?
What about me?
some Christmas, shenanigans, customs, stuff like
You
that.
don't know nothing.
Sorry. That's gonna go on
Alright.
my soundboard, by the way, on Discord.
Well, like I said before, we don't do the thing of like waking up in the morning, like the normal tradition of, opening presents up in the morning and all that. We do it when it hits midnight. So in Christmas Eve, we we party and hang out. Then we just, chill until midnight, and then we open presents, and then, we hang out a little bit more if we want, or all that stuff, and then we go to bed.
Hmm.
And that's it.
That's it. You don't have
Um,
any traditions or anything besides that?
I mean, kinda, yeah, but it's not really my place to say. And I mean, aside from that, like, yeah, some crazy stuff has happened.
Oh yeah,
But again, that's not my place to say either.
that's bullcrap. I'm gonna talk about my mom here in a few minutes, so.
Okay, well, I would tell you,
But I'd have to
but
kill you.
yeah,
Well,
I don't know how to explain that.
let's just know he's got something in there that he's just refusing to talk
I'll
about.
tell you after the podcast. I just
Ah,
can't tell it to you on camera.
gotcha. All right, well, let's move along to Grim then. Grim,
I
tell
don't.
us,
I don't
tell us
have much.
what? What about that whipped
I,
cream
I,
pool that you dive into every year?
all right. All right. You know what? You know what? No, I'm out of this podcast. I'm out of this episode.
Sorry.
I'd be worried if you
Cue-
actually left.
Cue the scream. No, I'm kidding.
You know what I realized? Between you and Phoenix, neither one of you like white cream.
Well, it depends on. Never mind. I like marshmallow whip.
Yeah, I'm thinking more of mayonnaise.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking of. All right. Anyways, Grim, go for it.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess I, whenever I was with my mom and stepdad, if there was enough snow, because a lot of the time it would just be stupid cold and there wouldn't be any snow, but we would go sledding in our backyard because we had a massive hill that we lived on. But I mean, that's literally all I can think of.
Man, you guys really did not come prepared with this one. Well, fine. I guess
I mean,
Jan's.
there's nothing to be prepared with.
I guess Jan's gonna have to carry this. All right. Well, how about this? I'm gonna tell a story that's gonna be quite funny, but also show my non-sensitive side. I'm gonna come out swinging because it is about my mom, and I love her very much. But my mom would always cook the biggest feasts. She wouldn't really ask for help in the kitchen. Every once in a while, we'd help anyways, with prepping and stuff like that. And one year, this was after I was an adult, and I was already a cook, chef, whatever you want to deem me as. And so she, like prior to Christmas, was in the hospital, and she refused to be admitted. She said, "I will not spend Christmas away from my family." So they had her on some heavy prescription drugs. And now this is going to play a part of like the whole story, really. So she told me that I was going to be the one cooking all of Christmas. Okay. Well, picture my mom, drugged up on prescription drugs, coming in there trying to bug me in the kitchen. Of course, you know how it is. You're doing something and, it's your mom's baby. And it's like, no, you're doing it wrong. Like, Mom, get out of the kitchen, And so the one thing I screwed up was her sweet potato casserole. And because I added double the amount of brown sugar to it that I wasn't supposed to. And, I don't eat it anyways, so I could care less. So, I can't stand yams
Man, you
or
should have just added double the marshmallow since that's the only thing you take.
exactly. So, but And who says I didn't? But so during this Christmas, we were sitting at the table, and my mom, we're sitting there eating, and then my mom goes face first into her food, and she literally passed out in her food for a second, and we've never let her live it down, but she should have stayed admitted in the hospital, to be honest, but she refused to stay there. So that whole night after dinner, we had people coming over and stuff like that. Like I said, our house was always full on the holidays. So we had a lot of people over. So mom felt like she had to, show people around. But the thing is it's the same people that come every year and that knows my mom's stuff. And my mom had this tradition where she'd crochet these like wreaths, and anybody that came in the house got to pick one off the wall. And so she'd have like a wall. It was like a Christmas tree of wreaths almost on the wall, and people would come in and grab whatever one they want, and all that stuff. She took my friend Amanda around, who I've known for years before this, and would be like, this is this and this is that, and she's like, Mom, I know where everything is. I know. And so I started making jokes like, oh, I rolled up to Amanda and I looked at our lamp. I was like, this is our lamp. And my mom just like she don't remember half that day at all because she was so heavily, sedated, I guess you could say, on her medication. And,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, it was just like one of those funny moments that happened. And in the Phoenix household, and she just like I said, we always had a lot of people over, and she just like constantly would be like, this is that. And, she never did that before, but she was enticed by the drugs, I guess, to show everybody around. I don't know. But I've always held that story close to my heart. It's not the tongue sticking to a bell or anything like that, but you know what? It's up there. And
Yeah, man.
yeah, I can't believe I broke that out again last week. Like, geez. So, but anyways, enough of me. Jan, what about you? Do you got any other stories or something you want to discuss? Possibly, maybe traditions that you do, or the type of food and stuff like that part of the English cuisine. Maybe I know you said you're more traditional, but what are some of the foods and stuff like that over there across the pond use?
Well, I mean, there's quite a few things. I mean, where things have changed last 20 years, obviously, because now, everyone that were kids, obviously, we're all with our own sort of families now, and things have sort of evolved a bit.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, you'd have a sort of whole dinner thing basically laid out on the table to sort of serve yourself, but my favourite thing, it's roast dinner's a roast dinner, and you can never go wrong with a proper roast dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it's all about the sweet stuff. Because you've got Christmas puddings, which are just absolutely gorgeous. You've also got these Christmas cakes, which in a way are very similar to Christmas puddings.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, Christmas puddings are hot things. Christmas cakes are not. Christmas cakes have this like layer of marzipan and icing, which is just
Nasty.
I love it. I love it.
Wait, you love that thick? Like, really? You like that stuff?
Marzipan icing, I love it. I really, really do.
But you can eat your icing like a candy bar. I'm not a big fan of it.
It depends on the icing. Basically, there are a couple of different types. There's like this soft roll icing,
Mm-hmm.
which is usually what goes on it, and that's just it's really, really nice. You know, it's not hard, but it's when it's done well, it's done really well. You know.
Yeah. So you brought up puddings. I've got to know. I've got to ask. Do you have like figgy pudding like every year, or you know?
Honestly, I can 100% say I've never tried it.
Really? Okay, because I
Never
know
once.
it's not really a thing over here, like but like I've never even had figgy pudding. I've never had any of that stuff. I've never had like spotted dick. If I did, I get checked every year. No, I'm kidding. But
Spotted dick.
but I heard spotted dick is super good. Like, but I've just never even tried it. But like, I don't think spotted dick is kind of like a holiday dish, anyways. Is it? That's something that's not really.
Well, you can get sort of spotted at any point in the year, really. I think it is definitely a Christmas thing as well.
Oh, okay.
But again, I think it's a Christmas thing in the sense of you would buy sort of these sweet treats and things that you like,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the sort of more sort of
Hmm.
recognizable to Christmas items. I mean, I've never had spotted dick,
Right.
but that's mostly because of my aversion to custard. It's not something I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. That you've told me that before. So let me ask you: have you ever had it? Well, I mean, if custard's kind of like eggnog, sort of, but have you ever had eggnog?
I haven't. Again, that it's a weird oddity. It's something that just doesn't seem to really happen much in the UK.
Yeah. I
I
didn't think
know
it
I've
did.
seen. Yeah, I mean, I've seen like the occasional, carton of eggnog, but it's not something that people go, oh yeah, I need to make sure I've got a supply of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future it'll come over here a little bit more. It's definitely not something that most people would actively try to get hold of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I love eggnog. I was outnumbered last week when we were talking about different things that, people may have had or never had. And we were talking about like just candidly stuff like, have you ever had eggnog? Have you ever did this or that? Or was that 2 weeks ago? Anyways, yeah. So, the most people have never had eggnog that were in that podcast, or, just wasn't a big fan of it. I love it. Like, it's like one of my favorite things. There was a misconception that all eggnog is alcoholic, which is not, which, I don't even, I choose the regular eggnog, non-alcoholic eggnog over the other stuff. But if you want to know more about that, go listen to the other episode. But yeah, I wanted to ask you that because, with your love for custard and stuff like that. So that's interesting. So, all right. So when it comes to like your Christmas dinner, have any of you done anything different rather than just like turkey, ham, blah, blah, blah? Or like when it comes to your family, or, like, cause I asked Arson the question about with his heritage, has he done anything different with Thanksgiving? And I'm assuming it's probably about the same with Christmas for you, Arson. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe some tamales there, but other than that, it's pretty traditional.
Yep.
Okay.
Tamales, maybe pozole, but yeah, that's about
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Like I said before, I love tamales. Like I love them. So, I would never picture them at a, as, because I'm assuming that like when it's served, it's more of like a appetizer type of deal, right? Like served with like other things like before the main meal, right? Or is it served with the main meal?
I mean, it can be served with the main meal. You really just kind of grab whatever you want. It's
Yeah.
not like a well, we're gonna do these in different courses. It's just more like, well, it's the food's there. Grab
Mhm.
whatever you wish.
No, fair enough. Yeah,
Mm, Yep.
you're right about that. You're right. All right, but what about anybody else? Grim, is there anything that you've done? Like, is there anything different that your family does for Christmas dinner? Than rather than Thanksgiving.
I guess. I mean, it's probably not that uncommon, but we sometimes we'll have goose.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, see, and I like that. Um,
hmm
to be fair, I was expecting Jan to be like, "Yeah, we'd have goose and da 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 da." Be like, I could just picture Scrooge yelling down at the little kid saying, "Here, you, what time is it?" And like, "Here, go buy the biggest goose you can." Stuff like that. Uh, but again, I've got a misconception when it comes to like other, especially England or the UK, when it comes to that culture. You see
Mhm.
all this stuff on TV, and I'm sure it's different. Like that's like with like people seeing, well, probably the stuff in the US is probably the same, to be honest. Like
Yeah,
we're
probably.
we're a bunch of idiots over here, so great country full of idiots, but still. But all right, so yeah, goose, that's actually pretty good. I love goose.
It's decent. It's not my
Yeah,
favorite, but it's definitely not bad.
yeah. Um, and back to you, Zombie. What about you? Do you have any like different foods that
So,
you eat?
interesting thing. As far as I can tell, our Christmas dinner has never been anything special because
Mm-hmm.
realize we've eaten all day. Because it was pretty much just, it's kind of like a pitch in.
Yeah,
Because like I said, we open our just like my brother, my mom, my dad, now my sister-in-law, my niece and nephew.
right.
Is how it used to be. Is we'd come over, we'd open just us, then like aunts and cousins and stuff like that would show up, and then we'd have another one, and there'd just be food. Like we'd all bring some dishes. It's just kind of like you're hungry, you go into the kitchen, you grab yourself a small plate of stuff, and you eat.
Yeah,
So we've been pretty much snacking all day long. So none of us are like really hungry. So a lot of times it was just, if there's anybody there at that, because sometimes, people are like, hey, I got to leave, I got a plane to catch or whatever,
mm-hmm.
or another Christmas to go to, so a lot of times it's just like, hey, you want to order a pizza? So we never had a formal Christmas dinner.
Yeah. Wow. He's like, it's tradition not to have a formal Christmas dinner.
Well, I mean, because like there's just been food just like out all day, and because if it's the whole thing, if it's out and you walk through, you're like, well, I got to grab something.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're grabbing just like, I grab it's like a slice of ham, you know,
Right.
you do that every time you walk through the kitchen.
Hmm.
You're going to be pretty full by the end of that evening.
Oh yeah, for sure. When it comes to like stuff like that, like we never left on, like, growing up, we never left on Christmas. We stayed home. We'd wake up, and I think I told this during Thanksgiving. Uh the tradition for us started when my niece was born, and like a couple years down after that, we would get up my dad would get up. We would obviously get up and open up our presents, but after that, we would throw in cinnamon rolls and bake
Synonym
them,
rolls.
cinnamon rolls, and bake them, and that started a tradition having that. And that's like, I think on Christmas Eve, my mom would always make chicken and rice soup. That was like our Christmas tradition. It was either Christmas Eve or New Year's. I think it was Christmas Eve. But it was chicken and rice soup that we'd have. Always, like, that was one of my dad's favorite soups, so that's what she always made. My mom made really good chicken and rice soup. But we'd get up and eat our, you know, as you grow up though, you're not living at home, and you get there when you can, or try to get there. I remember one time I went to a friend's house in Kentucky, and I had my Camaro, right? And on the way, it was Christmas Eve, and I was gonna come home, Christmas Eve, to be with the family. But I drove out there in my Camaro, and on the way out there, my brakes went out. Mind you, it was snowing and stuff, so I was getting enough brake to where I could pump it like 4 times and it would start to stop. But I was being very careful all the way over there, and this was right about the time like I had one of my first cell phones, so it was early back in the day, and so I was like trying to get pulled in. Like I called my friend and I was like, he was at his grandma's house, and I was like, when I pull in, it's gonna, be rough. So he's like, we'll pull in the driveway, uh, and we'll see what happens. So no one was parked in the driveway, and I pulled in, and I couldn't stop in time. I almost ran into her backyard. The only reason I didn't is because there was a cinder block there that stopped me. And so my mom complained, and my dad was upset, but because my mom was upset, and they complained so much that I was so mad that I was like, okay, fine, I'll risk my life and drive home, because I told him, I said, oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to make it home. My brakes are out. And she's like, you're going to miss Christmas. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I can't help that, Mom. I'm sorry. But I drove home in those conditions with no brakes for her. And then when I get there, what do you think she said?
Why are you late? Yada yada.
No, oh, you shouldn't have did this. Really? Really? Like, really? So,
oh, you shouldn't have.
yeah, it was something like that. But it was just like, so, it upset me so bad. It kind of ruined the whole Christmas thing for me that year. But it is what it is with that. So, but there you go. There's a story that's not so chipper and blah blah blah, but so I've got a couple other ones that I'll talk about here in a little bit, especially if you guys run out of stories. So, well, Jan, what about you, man? What else do you got to tell us? Tell us some more. I want to know. I want to know more about Jan.
Oh, well, sort of depends on what you want to know, really. Let's see. Generally speaking, my wife, my daughter, and I, on Christmas, I mean, we tend to spend the majority of our times playing board games and sort of silly things sort of during the day. Because over here in the UK, obviously everyone, well, I always perceive it, because obviously we get a lot of the American TV here, but there's this big perception of it being, a Christmas dinner. So sort of in the evening, evening meal. But more often than not, it's actually a like Christmas lunch here in the UK. And I think that's mostly done solely because I know a lot of people here in the UK do the same as me, which is the moment I wake up on Christmas morning, I've got beer in my hand.
You have beer in your hand?
Oh, yes.
That's
so
5 o'clock somewhere.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm waking up at 6:30, and if I've got to be up at that ungodly hour, I need a beer. And so, obviously, because we all start drinking quite early, it's kind of important to get a proper meal into you much sooner rather than later. So it generally tends to be a Christmas lunch rather than a Christmas dinner.
Well, see, it's funny you mentioned that, because like I never perceived that everybody has lunch late, or I mean Christmas dinner late, because even with Thanksgiving, we'd always serve our meal around 3 p.m. And then basically you'd eat, and then you'd rest, and then eat again.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as I said, for the majority of, we sort of do like this sort of sit down, Christmas lunch, and it's like a full on roast of all sorts. Um, Turkey isn't as big here in the UK as it is elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So generally speaking, most people will do some sort of variants of, chicken, lamb, or ham. Some people might do, like as was mentioned earlier, some people might do goose. It's not often that people tend to do turkey over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love a roast dinner. I love a roast, but my favourite thing for food is always in the evening, which probably might sound a bit crazy, but in the evening it's always like sort of like snack food, party food.
Mm-hmm.
But the best bit about that, absolute best bit, is cheese and crackers.
Oh yeah.
And for me, I mean, my wife is the same. All types of cheese, various cheeses. Like if it's a cheese or termed as a cheese, we're eating. And that for me is like the absolute epitome of that day, because any meat that you have left over from lunch is also there, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So you have all of that with all the crackers and the cheese. By that point, if you're not, you don't aim to be drunk. You're very, very merry by that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think always just makes everything, that much more sort of interesting.
I would say
'cause
enhanced. No.
oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone's playing alcohol roulette by that point in the day, because it's like, oh, will this beer be the one that puts me over the edge? You open it, you have a couple of mouthfuls, and then you're like, no, I'm okay. And then by the time you finish that one, it's then becomes round again, and it's like, oh, is this going to be the one that finishes me?
Will he throw up? Find out on the next beer roulette. Oh man, that's funny. It's interesting that you mentioned the roast, because there's times where we would do traditional turkey, ham, and all that stuff. But there's a lot of times my mom would do a crown roast for Christmas dinner, and I think it started with my dad wanting it like that, and so we started off, every once in a while just getting a crown roast, and crown roasts are freaking expensive. But we'd get one and we'd always have it, and it's always I just dropped my remote, sorry. And I'm over here fiddling with stuff while I'm over here talking with you guys. Not like you guys don't ever do that. Like I had my little state like arsonistic puffed in my hand, just like kind of like twirling them. But anyways, so we would have crown roast, and I always enjoyed a good roast too, as well. But like you said, there's nothing like we would have cheese and crackers, we'd have cheese ball, we'd have all kinds of different things on the menu. We'd have by far more of appetizer stuff than we would have main course. It was always like that every year. So, but yeah, that's good stuff, man. All right, so moving on. Does anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? Like Bones, what about you, man? You got anything else?
Not really. I mean, like I said, it's been pretty standard as far as I can
Yeah,
recall.
yeah. Well, anything else, Arson? I just expect.
Well, okay. Well, speaking of tamales, it's not a Christmas thing, but did happen in December, so I'm just gonna count it, because why not? This actually happened recently, last week, as a matter of fact.
Oh, nice.
Or was it last week?
Well, for sake of time, we'll say last week.
Yeah, for sake of time, we'll say last week. It was last week. My mom told me that uh, she, along with my aunts, were going to make a lot of tamales. So, she said that me and my bro should go over there so we can, have some tamales and maybe, hang out with, some family and cousins. And I mean, I usually I'm like, I'm not really feeling like it, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. Why not? Let's go.
Mhm.
So my aunt lives a little bit away from where I am, but that's whatever. And we went there, had a lot of tamales, met some, cousins that I haven't seen in a while. Just overall had a pretty good time. Oh, and we also played this game called Loteria. I don't know if you guys, know what that is.
I have no idea.
It's basically the Mexican version of bingo.
Oh, nice.
But like instead of rolling the numbers and all that, like you have this deck of cards and you shuffle them really good and you pick from like random points in the stack so it doesn't seem unfair when you're just picking from the top of the deck. And they pull out the card with the picture and the name, and if it's there, then you instead of like marking it down with like a marker or something,
Mhm.
you put like something on top of it. Like in this case, like we always use like and Grim's gonna love this. We always use uncooked beans. Like we just like we always use uncooked beans and we put them on top of like the thing, like, cause like we all have our own like little sheets like on top of like the cards. It gives us like the little sheets that have like the different photos, and whoever fills out their uh card basically wins. And like we were playing like low stakes, like we just throw in like $1, like
Mhm.
some like always $1. Like that's the max limit you need to like play. And it was pretty great like this time around because usually like when I played it back then, I didn't have a job, I was a kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had a job this time around so I could actually, put my money in there instead of borrowing from my mom or dad.
So what you're telling me is you hustled your family, right?
Yep, I actually won the first game. I won the first game. I felt pretty good, and then I lost every other one.
Oh, dang.
My cousin won 3, including the game where I didn't just double the stakes, I quadrupled them, and I placed a 20 down,
Oof.
and that incentivized everybody else to who at least who could.
Yeah.
Like my brother was also there playing, but he couldn't because he didn't have a 20, and like basically 100 and was it $120 or 110? Either way, like $100 were on the line, and I lost
Holy
that.
cow. I would have bowed out
Loved
after
it.
that one. After if I won that, I'd be like, I'm out. Now here's
I
the real
was feeling particularly cocky, and I got my comeuppance there, but it's whatever. I still have fun, and like also at the same time, like there was like a huge like mist like in the area.
Yeah.
So like the atmosphere was great, especially the drive back. It was all fog. It was like I was in Silent Hill basically. The
Oh
I
wow.
vibes were
was
great.
gonna make a silent no. I was gonna make a reference. Damn it.
Stole it from you, buddy.
Oh, there. You still have your screen. It's okay.
Just robbed.
Hey, so
Rob from Smash Bros.
so here's the most important question. Did you get to keep your beans?
Huh? No, I had to give those back.
Oh, that's bullcrap.
I mean, I was touching money and then I was touching the beans. I don't think those beans are.
You can wash the beans.
I guess that's fair, but still, I'm not gonna. I don't really need the beans. I
I
already
mean,
got beans.
fair enough. I wash when I use like beans like that. I wash them at least a couple times. Soak them, wash them, soak them, wash them. All that jazz.
Yeah.
But
The drugs write themselves.
that's a really I like that story. That's such a good one. What about you, Graham?
Yeah,
You got
it
anything
happened
else to tell us? Yeah, and the fact that it happened like a week ago is pretty neat. So, what about you, Graham? You got anything else?
We do have a card game that we play. It's not just at Christmas, but the most memorable time we played it was around Christmas. I think it was for my younger cousin's birthday, which is it's like December 12th or something. So it's close to Christmas. But either way, we play a game called Spoons.
Oh yeah.
Our family is very competitive when it comes to specifically spoons. Anything else, it's totally fine. Spoons, that's life or death, right?
Mm-hmm.
We made the mistake of playing on my aunt's brand new glass coffee table. And, when you're playing spoons, you gotta grab the spoon, and then if you see someone grab a spoon, you have to grab a spoon, otherwise you're out, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just the name of the game. Well, we like to secure our spoons by slamming on the table pretty hard and covering the spoon. So we were playing, and my uncle, he got the 4 cards that you need or whatever, and we had already done a few rounds. Everything was fine, and he slammed his hand down to grab a spoon, and everyone else did that too, and I guess that was just a little bit too much because the table shattered.
Oh no.
Yeah. My aunt was not happy. But it was funny. And no one was hurt. But
the table.
Yeah, no, the only casualty was that poor table.
What the table ever did to you? And you hit it all night. Gosh.
Punched it till it exploded, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. That's the best I got.
Well, I've got a story I've been saving because when we were talking about the greatest Christmas presents and stuff like that in the last episode, I wanted to tell it then, but I couldn't. So I've got 2 stories back to back, and then we'll see where we're at then. However, the first story I want to tell is one that me and my sister did, and it was very sneaky what we did. Have you ever wanted to know, like, had temptation so much when you were younger that you wanted to know what was inside that box, that you carefully unwrapped it to figure out what it was and then wrap it back? Anybody?
No.
Nope.
I was never that neat.
So my sister and I, my younger sister, which she's older than me, but she's the younger of the 2 sisters, her and I, we decided at one time when my oldest sister left with my parents and we were stuck at the house bored, so we decided we were going to open up all of our gifts and tape them back. And we did, and we got away with it too, like 100%. Like no one ever knew that we did it, and we didn't tell it for years later. But the funny thing is we also unwrapped our big sister's gift, all of them, and knew what she was getting too.
Huh.
Like, so yeah, like I've never done anything like that underhanded before. Like at that point, I can't remember if it was I think it was my sister's idea. I'm not 100% sure. It could have been a little mixture of both of us. But yeah, we didn't tell them for years after that. Like we were full blown adults, and I don't think she ever did tell them. I'm the one that said, yeah, that one year, blah 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 blah, had all those presents, and we just, of course, we didn't know the ones from Santa, right? So, but of course, that year, well, okay, this is the funny story. Okay, you remember the whole underwear story thing? Do you remember that yesterday, right? Or from last week's episode? So,
right.
yes.
Yeah.
So I purposely found where the underwear was, and I made sure to open that up first. like like just because, you know, at that point it was like I might as well make sure I hit that package first. So, but yeah, we did that. And then there was a Christmas after, like it was after that. Because my parents have always like until my dad passed away, we always had they always went out for us, always. Like even when we were adults, they'd get a bunch of presents for us and all this stuff. And so one year, I didn't come from a rich family. I've stated this before. We have one time again been on some sort of government assistance and stuff like that. Um, and I'm not ashamed of that. Granted, back in the day, I was. My mom tried to get me one time to go up and get. This is after I got my license and get food with food stamps, and I refused because I was embarrassed and ashamed. And I had to do a lot of growing. You know what I mean? So I've been there, you know, I've been there. I've had to deal with it. And so one Christmas one year, um, mom had us write up our Christmas list. And what she did, because they couldn't afford anything for us, they wrapped up household goods and they put she taped a picture of something, say it was like a video game, just whatever, say it was a Super Mario Brothers game, whatever. She taped that onto a thing of rice-a-roni and then wrap it up
San
and then
Francisco treat.
do what?
San Francisco treat.
Yeah, exactly. But no, seriously, one of mine was a rice-a-roni and I can't remember what was on it. And so my mom was so embarrassed and ashamed about this, but that was probably our best Christmas ever because it proved to her that we weren't all about, like, you know, the objects. You know, we're not it's not about that for us. It was about other things. And yes, they went back and they got, you know, each and one of those items that, you know, was promised, you know, and we got all our Christmas stuff. It just wasn't on Christmas Day. But every time we'd open up one, I'd be like, the first time, I can't remember who opened one up first, but the first time they opened up, I was like, huh? And then my mom explained. And so when I opened up the rice-a-roni, I'm like, oh yes, rice-a-roni. And so afterwards, my mom was like gonna go put all the stuff away. I'm like, you're not taking my rice-a-roni. This is mine. Like, you know, and but I tell you, it really, like, we had one of the best days that day. We didn't have any gifts at all, you know, but the gift was the family, you know. I mean, we pulled together that day, and I'm so thankful that I grew up with two sisters that could be selfish, and they grew up with a brother that could be selfish. But at certain times in our lives, we were the most or the least selfish that you could be, you know. So then that's the spirit of it, man. You know, it really is. That's why I've got this I'd rather give than to receive type of moniker. I love that. I love to be able to give, you know, presents rather than get them. Like, you know, it's nothing like seeing your daughter open up her gifts on Christmas, you know, and it sucks because I'm going to miss my granddaughter's first Christmas. But hopefully I'll get to be, you know, there with a call or whatnot, you know, like through FaceTime or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's really the spirit of it, you know, guys. And I am truly thankful for everything that I have gotten over the years. You know, in every Christmas, we try to keep the Christmas, you know, the center of Christmas, you know, what is the real truth about Christmas. And for me, it's not the gifts, it's not the presents, it's not Santa, it's not a tree, you know, it's about family and what I believe is Christ. That those are the two center for me. So you know, that's me, you know, and I'm thankful for that. So, Jan, do you got anything else for us, bud, before we decide to ship off?
Yeah, I've got one more good one.
Sweet.
When I was about 17, you know, I was on that sort of point where I enjoyed the more childlike things, but obviously I was trying to sort of do the more adult stuff as well, join the adults in what they were doing.
Yeah.
And basically, my dad, because it had made him laugh, according to my mum, he had giggled like a schoolgirl when he'd brought this idea up for a gift for me to my mum.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my mum, you know, she wasn't too sure about it. You know, my mum was quite conservative in that way. And, but my dad had got his way and he'd bought this gift. And he was really excited because he thought I was going to open this gift. I was going to. That was what he wanted to see. Unfortunately, however, he did not count on the fact that I have absolutely no dignity or shame, because what they'd bought for me was this sparkly red male thong that came with the Santa hat.
Oh my gosh.
And at that time, like I hadn't long stopped swimming for the UK. So obviously, as a swimmer, you have a certain type of physique.
Yeah.
So, you know, I look good. And basically, I'd opened this Buckley Thong and Santa hat, and my dad was like sitting on the edge of his seat because he wanted to see me panic. And literally, all I did was I jumped up and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I'll be right back." And I ran upstairs. And literally, I came back downstairs probably 30 seconds later, just walking around in this sparkly red thong and Santa hat. And my dad, he was completely deflated, all the wind out of his sails, because there's me happily strutting around the house, because effectively I now had a house speedo,
Right.
you know. Like I remember Dad, he made me laugh because he wanted to see me sort of, you know, rabbit in the headlights moment. He didn't get it. And I was like sitting in the house walking around sort of good hour and a half, 2 hours just in this thong and hat. And he thought he was going to get one up on me, because 20 seconds before they knocked on the front door, he let me know that my grandparents were coming around Christmas that year.
Oh no.
And I was like, "Oh my God, that's awesome." And he went, "Yeah, they're at the door now." And then there was the, you know, the knock at the door.
Yeah.
And I've jumped up and I've gone, "Oh, yay." And I've run to the front door and I've opened it, and I am standing there in a sparkly red thong and Santa hat. And literally, my nana's just walked straight past me, gone, "Oh, hello, dear. Give me a kiss on the cheek," and walked. My granddad's walked in and he's just sort of given me this stern eye, and he's gone, "You're weird." And he walked in the house. And my uncle has walked in, he's closed the door behind him, and he's just looked and seen me, and he's gone, "No socks this year?" I was like, "No, not yet." And and literally, it was only what, they were there for probably about 40 minutes, and then my mum basically said to me, "Can you pair of trousers?" And I said, "Can, but it will spoil the illusion of how good this thong looks." And I basically spent my entire day, because I have no dignity, I have no shame, you know, and I basically spent much of that day trying to make my parents comfortable about the gift they bought me as I physically could, and I succeeded, and it was worth it.
Well, I would say it taught them a wonderful lesson.
Well, I mean, if you're going to buy me that sort of thing, I'm going to use it, you know.
Do you still have it? Do you still have it to this day?
I had it up until about 7 years ago, and I lost track
Oh,
of it.
dang.
To be fair, I had worn it a fair amount, because I mean, things like that have a natural shelf life.
Yeah.
So it was probably getting to that where it was about done.
You should have gifted it back to your parents.
Well, funny you say that. I did several years after that actually get my dad a male thong with the monkey head on the crotch. And you press the thing and it does the. As I understand it, he still has it. Lives in his underwear drawer at the very, very back, absolute corner where nobody can reach it. But I have it on good authority that on occasion, after my mum has done the washing, she'll, put my dad's underwear in the drawer and you can hear the monkey go off on occasion, which will never not be funny.
That is hilarious. See, the funny thing is like if I was your mom, I would take it and move it to the front of the drawer like every time. Oh, that's freaking hilarious. Oh my gosh. Oh, that brings me to my last question to you guys. And do you guys know what dirty Santa or white elephant gifting is? I'm assuming you do.
Yes.
The elephant.
I do not do one.
Okay, so this could be more of a US type of thing.
Is that like the opposite of a Secret Santa gift exchange?
So
You give someone something stupid.
yeah, basically. So it's more of a gag gift exchange like we were talking about, Arson.
Yeah.
And so if you do the dirty Santa, it's usually something not family friendly as much. And so it was funny because I was introduced to it as Dirty Santa, and then later after I got saved and was in the church, they referred to it as the white elephant gift. I'm like, the heck is that? Like, and they were like, well, it's basically Dirty Santa, but so we would always partake in that. And when I was introduced to that, we brought it to my mom's side of the family, which my aunt tries to say she's the one that thought of it when everybody knows it was myself and my ex-wife. And but so they did the white elephant gift every year, but they kept changing rules of it. And after a while I just set out because I'm like, man, I'm not doing this because you guys add too many things to it that you can steal people's gifts and this and that, and which it's part of the game. But when I ever did it, a white elephant, I'd always get a gift that I wanted, and then I try to steal it back. That was always the thing. And usually it was something around my family because they were all Star Trek freaks. I would do something along the lines of Star Trek, and or nerdy or whatever, because that's the way it is. But my oldest sister and one of my best friends that I introduced to my cousin, and they got married. So he's like my brother cousin because I always called him my brother. They'd always like get into it, and into a battle of like taking each other's gifts and this stuff like this, and it was always funny. But I don't even know if they do that anymore because I was just like when I came home after my divorce, I really wasn't in a Christmassy mood, so I just kind of set out every year. But other than that, but the funniest thing I ever did is we had this like church to get like a church Christmas party, and we did white elephant gifts. And so what I did was I was looking up good ideas for a gift, and basically I gifted somebody a bubble bath. And it's not your traditional bubble bath because it was like a 15 bean soup, and I took this bean soup and put it into like a nice jar, and I put the label in the front, like how to use I put a lot of thought into it. And so they got this 15 bean soup, and basically as like it's called redneck or hillbilly bubble bath is basically what it's called. So it was always funny to do crazy stuff like that. I always thought it was fun. So, but nobody else really knows about that. Like Jan, you didn't. I didn't expect Jan to be honest, but Grammar or Zombie.
We did do white elephants, not crazy often, but we did do white elephants at my youth group, and I
Mhm.
specifically remember one uh one year my buddy who's also friends with Arson Pack, right? Because we know each other in real life. We went to youth group together, and he brought a he brought a Danny DeVito pillow, not like a body pillow, but just a normal pillow.
Mhm.
Oh
That
yeah,
it
he did.
like when it's one of those pillows where like you wipe your hand across it and like changes, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just changed into Danny DeVito. It was so funny. Everyone was like, "Who is that? What is that pillow?" And it was very funny. But that's the most memorable one.
Uncultured swine.
I mean, it
Uncultured
was
swines.
in the middle of the Midwest. Give him a break.
No.
Yeah, there's no way somebody would not know who Danny
Everyone
DeVito
didn't
is.
know.
Jeez.
Everyone didn't know. The only person that knew was me and Pack.
Jeez.
And me after they told me the story.
That's hilarious, though. I would love a Danny
Mhm.
DeVito pillow. That'd be awesome.
No, I know what to get you somebody then.
And lastly, Zombie, what about you? Did you not really know anything about like White Elephant or Dirty Santa?
Oh, I know what they are. I just find them annoying as hell. Well,
Why?
because so like we used to do it for a family Christmas type of thing, and I don't know if they still do it because I've not been invited for the past few years. But that's another story. Uh, and I found it annoying because it's like you take something that so the way we used to do it is by age. Everybody would put the Christmas presents up on the table, and you'd go with I can't remember if they did youngest or oldest. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they tip that okay, you go pick one. The next person picks one. They can either pick a gift off the table or that person's gift. And just the amount of taking back and forth just drew out this simple thing into a several hour long. It's like, oh my god, people, just can we end this already?
You're right. It does take forever sometimes.
Ever. And it's just like, oh my god, because you get the I want to take that person. And they's like, well, I don't want to unwrap another gift off the table, so I'll take this person. And then it just gets like, oh my god. And you get
Yeah.
people like, I want that back, so I want to take this back from you. And I'm like,
Yeah, it gets a bit much. It's I think it's fun to do every once in a while, but to do it like constantly, like
well,
every
you
year.
also have to like do it with to me, a small group of people.
Right.
Like if you do it with a large group of people, it's going to take forever.
All right, guys, we got to set aside our one day for the white elephant gift exchange. We'll do the party separate, but we're gonna just do the gift exchange right on this day.
Should just get a bunch of gifts that we talked about already, just a red thong with a Santa hat, a
It's
Danny
definitely giving me
DeVito
ideas.
body pillow, couple crates of whipped cream.
Send it without any like cold packaging, so it gets there all spoiled, for Grim.
Do the same thing with mayo.
Yeah, we'll mix the whipped cream with the mayo, but we'll put the mayo in the whipped cream can, so you don't know if you're gonna get whipped cream or mayo.
Be like spray like yeah, all
I
of
think that is a wonderful place to end this episode. I hate you all. Goodbye.
that.
Green,
We heart you.
green pancakes.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, you know what? I think that is a good spot to end this. I've had a blast talking about all this stuff, guys. Jan, it's been such a pleasure to have you on here finally. I've been wanting to get you into one of the podcasts for a while now. And we missed our opportunity, like I said, with the Ghostbusters episode. But I'm glad you're here, man.
Having me. It's been fun.
Oh, so much fun. And that story is going to resonate with us and our viewer. See how I said that, viewer? Oh, no, viewers, now that we got Grimm's grandma. So,
Mhm.
so viewers,
Right.
yes, we're up to 2. No, but it's going to resonate with them, especially, we're going to put a picture of Jan up as the cover, just so you guys can picture him in a red thong and a Santa hat. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
There's a thing called Photoshop.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can just see sexy time with Jan and his wife. He's like in his Ghostbusters outfit, stripping down, and all of a sudden he's in that red thong. Okay, I don't want to picture that.
Well, now you've said it,
It's out there. All right. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate you all. If you guys want to learn more about From the Ashes podcast, we have a link in the description below. Go ahead and click that for anything. The hell was that?
Huh?
I heard a bark. Anyways, yeah, go click the thing, like I always say. And and above all else, I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Spend time with your loved ones. No, you don't want to have a Merry Christmas?
No.
All right, Emperor, Mr. Palpatine. But I do. I hope you guys have a great Christmas. If you guys have any stories you want to share with us, just share it. Let us know. I love hearing different stories and whatnot. So, but on that, I hope you guys have a great week. We'll be back next week with an episode to ring in the new year. I love y'all, and that's it from us.
Biscuit rolls.